This morning we're going to make a Dreidel. This is a little toy that is used during the Hanukkah season, and it's played very simply. This is the pattern I'm going to use. We're going to make a 3D cut here, a compound cut on paper. It's 1.5 inches across, so you need a square blank 1.5 by 1.5. The tiles that we'll use to attach to the Dreidel can be either cut from I'd say 1/8 inch birch ply or something thinner if you can. I did mine with 1/4 inch birch ply, and looks a little heavy, although it does seem to work okay. If you prefer, of course, you can cut out these letters on the pattern and then just glue them with an adhesive to each side of the Dreidel. When it's done, it'll look something like this. As you see, this is a little bit hefty looking, but it works. In fact, it spins very nicely. I'll give you a demonstration here. What you have to do is you have to spin this little top. Okay, and it goes round and round and round, and then eventually it falls down, and one side facing up. Now this is the side facing up. This, according to the pattern, is called a shin, S-H-I-N. Not sure of the pronunciations on these, but gives you an idea. And the shin, according to the game, if you end up with that one, you have to put one of your tokens into the pot. Basically, you start with a pot. Every player puts a token in the pot, and you either lose them or gain them. And eventually, somebody wins them. So, for a detailed explanation of this, you can go online there on YouTube. You'll find many demonstrations of how the game is played. Our purpose here, of course, is to actually make the Dreidel, and we're going to do that now. Okay, as I mentioned, in order to make the Dreidel, you're going to need a blank, which is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch round. So you actually basically have a square here. I made it about 4.5 inches long, so I could have some finger area when I'm working on the saw with this thing. But you get your blank and take some of this painter's tape. You can use the blue or the green or whatever color you want, or some regular masking tape. It doesn't really matter too much on this, because the actual Dreidel is going to come from the inside of this block, not the outside. We're using the tape mostly to attach the pattern, and also to help lubricate the saw blade when it's cutting this thing and make it a little easier to cut it. I usually go all around here, although it's not necessary, but you want to get some good coverage for your saw blade anyways. Okay, got our little block all set. Now we take the pattern. This pattern, by the way, the complete pattern for this is available on YouTube here. For the link is down below. If you go down there, you click on that, that'll take you to my free pattern page for scroll saws, and you can download this and make your own Dreidel. So what I'm gonna do is put some adhesive on the back of this thing. I use a glue stick. I buy a package of them from Staples, but you can get any kind you want. And the glue stick works pretty good to act as an adhesive here. So I'm going to go glue this up right now. Okay, we're all glued up now. It's all nice and sticky on the back here. And what you want to do is you want to take your block and put the pattern on it so that the seam of the paper lines up right with the edge of the block. Flatten this out nicely. Fold it over and flatten this out. Now when we cut this is going to allow us to have a 3-dimensional Dreidel, which is what we want. Something that'll spin nicely and be well balanced. Okay, what we have to do now is go to the drill press. I'll do this off camera, and I'm going to drill a hole probably around here and a hole around here. Purpose being, of course, to put my saw blade through there so we can start cutting. After I do that, I'll meet you over at the scroll saw and we'll begin cutting this thing. Fairly simple project. I drilled that hole in the blank on both sides and we're ready to start cutting now. What we want to do, I'm using a number 5 reverse tooth blade. You could use several other types. I always automatically go for the number 5 first, and it seems to work out pretty good. I'm going to tighten that down a little bit, make sure it's nice and secure, and we got about half speed here on the scroll saw, and we can start cutting this thing out now. Try to keep my hands out of the way so it doesn't block your view, but not much luck with that sometimes. I'll speed this up so we don't waste a lot of time here just watching me cut. Okay, finished cutting this. This, by the way, is soft pine. What I did was I took a 2x4, and 2x4 measures out at 1.5 inch on the edges anyways, and I just cut the other side so it's 1.5 inches and gave me my nice size blank that I need. And the pine is a nice soft wood to cut through. It makes it easy to work with. So that's what I used for this. You could use something else, of course, if you want to make it out of a fancier wood, harder wood, which will make it a little more difficult to cut, but might look a lot better in the end. I'm going to take this out now. I'm going to take it over to the bench and do a little taping on it. Okay, we got the first cut we made through there. We don't want this thing moving around in here, though, when we make the next cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some painter's tape again, and I'm going to cover up that area we've already cut. Like so. Alright, I'll flip it over to the other side. A short piece will do it. I want to cover up the area we're going to cut, of course. Bring that down like that, and we're now ready to cut the other piece. The reason we put the tape on there, of course, is to keep that piece nice and steady. We want to keep this thing looking as good as possible when we cut it. So we'll give that a try. So let's go over to the scroll saw again and let's cut out this other piece. A little bit of variety here. Switch sides on you here. Again, I'm going to try to keep my hand out of the way, but you never know what's going to happen. You might find it a little bit easier to cut this side, simply because you've already cut away some material on the other side. So it might make the trip through a little bit easier, but not much. Fasten down our clamp again, and let's begin our second cut. Okay, we made our second cut, and that's all it takes is 2 cuts to make this dreidel. Can't get any easier than that. Now, what we want to do is take the dreidel out, preferably in one piece. Hopefully it'll come out smoothly. Let's give it a try. Wow, that's pretty easy. Sometimes it gets stuck in there. You can see there's pieces that are left over. Make a little scoop out of this if you want, I suppose. But here's our dreidel. Very nicely cut. Exactly as we want it to look. Okay. All the sides are nice and flat on this. Got a little bit of a dip here and there, but not bad. Ready to spin. What I'd like to do now is take it over to my sanding mop and clean it up a little bit, smooth it out, and then we'll put the labels on it and we'll be ready to play. Okay, looks pretty good. Nice and smooth all around. Let's take it over to the bench and see if it spins like it's supposed to. Okay, here we are over at the bench. Let's see if this little baby will spin. That's what it's all about. Well, it spun a little bit. There we go. Maybe it needs to break in, possibly. No guarantee as to how long this is required to spin when you're playing this game, but there it goes, a little better. Gotta break it in. This one spins a little better, of course, because it's got that weight along the outer edges with the little tiles being attached to it. So it'll probably do a lot better once it gets fixed up. I'm going to try doing this, though, with just gluing the paper pieces on, rather than putting the wooden pieces, since I've already cut those out for this one here. This is also in the pattern too if you want to use it. Let's take our pieces here. I'm going to take our glue stick, glue it on here. I'm going to put some glue right on the dreidel itself, rather than on the back of the labels. Well, we could do that too. Okay, we have our nicely decorated dreidel, and we are ready to spin. Okay, it spins around, and we can play our game anytime we want now. Well, that's all there is to building dreidel. You, of course, can paint it, make it look a little fancier. Use the letters any way you want. You can glue them on, or you can cut them out of wood and put them on the sides. You could paint the letters different colors, the sides of each of this different colors. A lot of different things you could do to make it an interesting little project, and then have some fun playing with it. As I said, you can check out some of the YouTubes. They have a lot of videos on there showing how to play this game of dreidel. Well, hope you enjoyed this little project. If you did, click the little like button down there, and also click on the subscription button if you haven't done so yet, and you come back for more projects that I've come up with as well. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.